pride in his community, and that's the evidence right there.
Thanks, Steve.
And it's a major investment on his part that continues to cost him, I'm sure. And but you know, it's a pride in the community that Mark and his family, his father, mother, and everybody else. It means something, and Bill chose wisely, and for that we're grateful.
And I'm sure Bill is very grateful. And I served on the school board with Bill for a number of years.
Did you?
And he was very, very dedicated to the town of North Reading. And
He's got to be one of the most generous people in town.
you know, I think maintaining the store, Raya's store, and for the future is just substantial, and should be appreciated by all, what you've done and what Mr. Raya did in his early days. I know he's in poor health now. I wish him well.
Thank you all.
Do you have a motion, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Prisco?
Mr. Chairman, I move to recognize the 100-year anniversary of Raya's store and read the attached proclamation. Motion by, proclamation. Sorry.
Do we have a second? Motion by Mr. Prisco, second by Mr. O'Leary. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Mr. Prisco.
Proclamation. Whereas in 1912, the Raya family moved from Nova Scotia to North Reading and established a dry goods business located at the corner of Haverhill and Park Street. Whereas in the course of its history, Raya's has served the community as a store, the town post office, a gas station, and the place, the town, where people meet to catch up and discuss business and politics. Whereas throughout the store's 100 years in business, Raya's has always maintained its economic viability and preserved North Reading's small town atmosphere. By anchoring the same corner in the center of town, Raya's became known as the heart of North Reading. In 2002, Bill Raya Jr. turned the store over to Mark and Judy Hall of North Reading, who continue to keep a great small town feel alive. Now therefore, we, Board of Selectmen of North Reading, Massachusetts, do recognize 100-year anniversary of Raya's store. We thank Mark and Judy Hall for contributing their time, energy, and business savvy to North Reading's business community and making Raya's a most enjoyable shopping experience for the citizens of North Reading and our guests for surrounding communities. We wish you continued success in your endeavors in the years to come.
Should be applause.
I don't know if everybody knows, but Friday morning, Mary, Friday morning at 9 o'clock.
Friday morning at 9 o'clock, we're having pancake breakfast, and we're very excited because it's going to be the kickoff of Raya's celebration now through September. We're having pancake breakfast up at the Senior Center, and it's called Everyone Has a Story About Raya's, as we can see in this room. So please, everyone on television, everyone at home, come join us Friday morning. It's going to be a great time, and everyone bring their story.
I'll have pictures and photographs of the Raya's that got moved and all that stuff too. So if you want to remember it the way it was 5 years ago, you can walk right in and see it.
That's great. Yep. Bob, you gonna?
Yes.
Sure. You got the
Yep.
Get the proclamation there.
Do.
everybody?
Yeah, may as well.
Get everybody.
We're going to do it there. Oh, right here.
Don't want to leave that on there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll get in the back row. Right.
Any candy?
Boston baked beans.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Steve, thank you. Thank you.
Another 100 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Yeah.
Service.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes.
Great, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, what we'll do is we put it in a frame and we'll ship it.
Town committee.
Personal delivery.
Good.
Mark, that'll get framed.
We'll frame it and we'll bring it down.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bring it down with smiles.
Next item is a proclamation for Older Americans. Mr. Prisco?
Mr. Chairman, I move to proclaim May 2012 as Older America's Month.
Mrs. Prenny here, does she want to say something first?
I'll second that.
Motion made by Mr. Prisco,
Honored
seconded
to
by...
be here tonight representing all the older citizens of North Reading, and I want to thank you for recognizing these wonderful people. So thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Prisco, for a second by Mr. O'Leary. Mr. Prisco.
Oh, we want to vote first?
Yes, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Mr. Prisco.
Proclamation. Whereas the town of North Reading includes 2,875 citizens aged 60 and older, and is committed to helping all individuals maintain their health and independence in later life, and whereas the older adults in the town of North Reading have an important role to share knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the history of our community through interactions with children, youth, and adults from other generations. And whereas the fruits of knowledge and experience can be effectively transferred from generation to generation through meaningful social interaction with family, friends, and neighbors across generations, enrich the lives of everyone involved. And whereas our community can provide opportunities to enrich citizens young and old by emphasizing the value of including elders in public and family life, creating opportunities for older Americans to interact with people of different generations, provide services, technologies, and support systems that allow older adults to participate in social activities in the community. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Selectmen of North Reading, Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim May 2012 to be Older America's Month. We urge everyone to take the time this May to honor our older adults and the professionals, family members, and citizens who care for them. Our efforts can improve their lives of our older citizens and help pave the way for future generations.
Mr. Chairman, before we proceed, I'd like to waive policy a little bit and take maybe some older new business out of order while Mrs. Prenny is here. I emailed everybody earlier this week, or last week, later last week, regarding a proposal that's pending before the legislature, whereby the administration is proposing to consolidate local housing authorities into a larger regional and statewide organization. And as I sent you the correspondence and a couple of letters that were sent to our legislators and the administration in opposition to this. I think it would be appropriate when Mrs. Prenny is here. Maybe we could just bring that up. And my suggestion would be that we stand with Mrs. Prenny and Dan O'Leary from Mystic Valley Elder Services and a lot of other communities in opposition to the consolidation of local housing authorities. And maybe under your signature, Mr. Chairman, express our concerns in relation to the pending legislation and in opposition to it. Again, I think it's important that local communities retain as much authority and as much say in their community as possible, rather than acquiescing to larger regional, in some instances, larger regional and statewide authorities. In this particular case, nobody knows our communities and our community's needs better than our local housing authority director, and our Mystic Valley Elder Services who service our community. And I'm afraid that under the current proposal, services provided to our seniors, low-income seniors, would be compromised considerably. So I would ask that we waive policy at this particular point in time, allow maybe Mrs. Prenny just to address the issue, and maybe we can take a position.
To make a motion to do
I move to waive policy and take number 14 on our agenda, older new business up. this particular time.
I second.
Motion by Mr. O'Leary, second by Mr. Delaney. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maybe if
Mrs. Prenny?
Mary wants to come up and just quickly address the issue that's before us, and
Okay, thank you for bringing this up a little bit earlier. I'm sure you all read the email that Steve probably sent out. This is a crucial legislation that's coming up. It's been proposed by the governor to regionalize all local housing authorities, maybe into 4 huge regions. It's important to North Reading and other local small housing authorities that this does not happen. Like Steve said, no one knows these people, our residents, better than we do. It would be devastating for someone like Mystic Valley Elder Services, where we're always on the spot trying to support the seniors and people with disabilities who live in this small house. In North Reading, we're talking 40 units. Hopefully, down the line, we'll have a few more. But it's vital that we have the hands-on, not large government. We know our people. It's a huge outreach for me. The people who work at the Housing Authority down at Peabody Court, they're my outreach workers. They know what's going on with these people. They know what the services are being done, what's not being done. It's going to cost a lot more money if we have this regionalization going on than we take care of our own in the long run, because we know people's health reasons, their financial reasons, people who are like being affected by fraud. It's important that it stays local, we keep it at home, and we keep it in our own hearts, because these are the people that we love. These are our neighbors. So I'm asking that the board takes a vote in agreeing not to go with large regionalization.
Thank you, Mary. Mr. Delaney?
Mary, I don't disagree, but do you have any idea what's driving this legislation? Is it
Yes, money.
usual.
all right?
Money.
Fair enough.
Money. But if you know someone, and we all know someone who lives in subsidized housing, low-income housing, you have a problem, you're going to have to call a 1-800 number to get your toilet fixed. It's not going to work. We want to keep it local. These are people who live in our community. We are responsible for. We're our neighbors. They paid taxes at one time. They built soccer fields at one time, and God knows how many schools they already built. They deserve to have the representation and the finest representation they can have, and that's keeping it local.
Mr. Yule?
Yes. Local control is very important, as you say. We know our families here better than state or federal government would ever know. And if you have to call an 800 number, or if you have to call some generic person that doesn't have a clue what goes on here, or in any other community, it needs to be controlled here. And I support what you're saying, okay, 100%, because it brings it down to local government, which should be the controlling factor in most cases. So I hope the board feels the same way.
Thank you.
On that.
Any question?
Mr. Briscoe?
Has there been any discussion with Representative Jones? And
There has been discussion. Actually, he is speaking this week, or maybe even tonight, at the Linfield Housing Authority. Both Representative Jones and Senator Tara are aware of this situation, and I believe Representative Jones is in favor of not going regional.
Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, communities such as North Reading, which tend to be smaller, would get lost in a regional. Again, I'm in favor of sharing services on a regional basis in some instances. In this particular case, I'm adamantly opposed. This is a clear case where our community and our community's residents would get lost in the shuffle, and it would become a very small player in a very big playing field. And I don't think the state is responsive enough at this point in relation to meeting our needs here in North Reading.
That's true.
And I'm afraid that if we get consolidated into a larger regional proposal here, we're going to get lost even further. So I think it's a bad move for the town of North Reading, its residents and its future residents, and those that are in need. And I think we need to retain as much local control as possible in this particular instance.
I just want to add that North Reading is always at the end of the universe. We're at the end of Greater Boston, the end of North Shore, the end of Merrimack. We don't have a home anywhere. So it'd be
Right
like,
here.
we really don't.
keep
As far as
control.
our
That makes us the hub of the universe.
Yeah, that makes us the hub of the